This is a very small town.
A remote part of northern Fentress County.
This region was referred to as Wolf River, Tennessee.
Home to just 800 people.
U.S. Highway 127 runs right through the middle.
The town of Pall Mall.
It's still relatively populated like it was 100 years ago.
Its claim to fame?
He was everyone's best friend, so to speak.
Sergeant Alvin York.
The man was heralded as the great American war hero of the First World War.
October 1918, while in France, York and 16 soldiers were caught in an ambush. York led the survivors of his patrol against the German forces, capturing 4 officers and 128 soldiers. His actions earned him more than 40 awards, including the Congressional Medal of Honor and a hit movie based on his life.
York, take over. The only non-com left. The rest of you keep under cover.
When Sergeant York passed away in 1964, he could have been buried at Arlington National Cemetery, but he had already chosen to be laid to rest here at home in Fentress County.
According to the family, he said that Pall Mall is where I was born, it's where I lived, where I will die, and where I will remain.
The funeral for the sergeant, September 3rd of that year.
It was the largest event that had ever been seen in the valley. Well over 6,000 people attended. They came from all over the state, the nation, from overseas.
The town of Pall Mall, now a monument to York.
At one point, they even did try in the 20s to rename it Alvin York, Tennessee. Alvin didn't like that.
Sergeant Alvin C. York State Historic Park, featuring tours of the decorated soldier's home, his burial site, and a real-life trench.
During our big events each year, we're looking at 4,000 or 5,000 people. So for a town that's very small, there's a very big economic impact to this area just with this park being here.
For 2017, the park estimates it saw 250,000 visitors.
We do our best to preserve it as best as we can, exactly as it was when they were here, to show that snapshot of life.
Everything that motivates us and what drives us here is to share that story, because if that story fades away, we lose everything.
And the legacy of Sergeant York, something this town will never let fade. Reporting in Fentress County, Josh Breslow, News 2.
After days of moving towards the Carolina coast, Hurricane Florence finally made her presence known in Wilmington, North Carolina.
It's like Armageddon. It's the worst storm I've been through in my 40 years of living on the coast.
Like, I've been through tropical depressions, tropical storms, but this is nothing compared to anything else.
The neighborhoods near downtown getting hit hard. Down trees, every turn. It's like a maze down here. Left, right, everywhere you go, you have to stop. And the reason, trees like this covering the roadways.
All these back roads, there's no way to get through anywhere. Right in front of our house, we can't get through Market Street. On this, people can't get through down the street here.
As residents woke up, they were left shocked at what they saw.
The first time I got out of the house, I was just amazed. Like, there's limbs in our driveway. There's even a line for cable down.
To make matters worse, the power in downtown Wilmington went out as the hurricane passed through. But there were other issues as well.
Now, as the rains continue, some of these low-lying areas in downtown Wilmington continue to flood. Some of the water up to my ankles.
Wrightsville Beach was evacuated because of the potential dangers, one of those flooding. Residents who heeded that warning are now glad they did.
This over here, this never happens here. That's well over it. This is just a little lake over here, and this water never flows over.
But on this day, it did. And with more rain predicted in the forecast, the flooding in some areas around North Carolina could continue. As for what these residents in Wilmington will do next,
battening down the hatches and just getting ready for cleanup mode in a couple days.
Yard work, lots of it.
In Wilmington, Brent Ramadna, News 2. As conversation and laughter fill the hallways, the smell of bacon fills the air.
They're going to get a taste of country life. You know, when they're here, for breakfast, they're going to get bacon, eggs, and biscuits and gravy.
This is a morning at the Lylewood Inn, a cozy bed and breakfast in Indian Mound, Tennessee. run by Mandy Williams, a jack of all trades as she wears many hats in this house.
I work very hard here. It's a lot of grass to mow. It's a lot of things to do. It's a lot of house to keep up, a lot of rooms to keep up, a lot of washing to do.
Ask her about when she finds time for vacation, and she'll tell you there is no time. But this week is different.
The past week or two, past 12 days or so, I've been able to do a little quilting and be in my sewing room and do a little crafting and enjoying myself.
Williams might just be the happiest person to be stranded.
Welcome to Lywood Inn Island, Lywood Inn Cruise Lines coming to pick you up on the other side.
After heavy rain across Middle Tennessee, the rivers and creeks have filled up. And in this case, the Cumberland is now spilling over the riverbanks in Indian Mound.
What's usually a quick drive across Cemetery Road has now turned into a boat ride, and the stop signs that are out for cars are now, well, they're applying to boats as well.
Once it gets down below that brick, then you could drive through it if you know where the road is. If you don't know where the road is, you're going to hit a gully over there that's about 15 feet deep, and that's going to be the end of you.
For now, Mandy and her guests are stranded.
We've always had some nice views of the countryside, but now when you're up at the house looking out the windows, you sort of see this area, and it looks like a gigantic lake, and it's really beautiful.
That lake adding a few extra activities.
We've taken the time to take the boat out and take it along a few of the tracks.
It's still unclear when the water will recede, and with more rain in the forecast, it might stay flooded for some time. But so far, no one's complaining.
Mandy's done a really good job of seeing the positives and making it a really pleasant stay.
The flooding has caused some cancellations and business has taken a hit, but Mandy says these tough times will pass.
I don't know, when you sit up on the porch and the big huge porch and you look out and you see nothing but water, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool, something different to do anyway.
For now, though, she's making the best of a bad situation. And from the looks of it, her dogs are doing the same. In Indian Mound, Brent Ramadna, News 2.
Well, Nikki and Neil, this proposal is different than the one considered earlier this year that would have banned street vendors from selling things into people's cars, the contributor newspapers. That bill did not go anywhere, but this new proposal did pass the first reading last night.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, this program's so great. When we first got here, I actually talked to a lady. She came up to me, said she recently lost her job. She had 3 kids. She didn't know how she was going to get presents. Well, this program here is helping do that. You can take a look. Every child that will wake up on Christmas whose parents came out here, they're going to wake up with a present under their tree.
Well, Nikki and Neil, this is South Cumberland right here behind me. And this creek bed you see here, it's typically dry, but with all the heavy rain last night, this area quickly filled and started overflowing onto the roadways here. Now, just to give you a little bit of perspective before we show you that video, Public Square is right down the road this way. And I spoke to Lebanon police who say some businesses are reporting some minor water damage inside their business. There's a place right here behind me.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, hundreds of thousands of people expected this weekend. They'll be on Broadway, taking advantage of the restaurants and shops, looking through the windows, and then also walking into the many stores, restaurants, and bars down here, trying to get inside and maybe take home some merchandise. These businesses, though, definitely taking advantage of the situation. Now, we did talk to a number of businesses down here. Trail West, that is a boot store here. They said they're expecting large crowds, but it could be an issue getting down here to park for their employees.